To all the Pakistanis and Nustins across the globe, it's a hello and an assalamu alaikum. Scholars Avenue is a conversation that dives deep into the stories of those who are shaping our future. It's a one-on-one with the makers, the minds, and the trailblazers at NUST. Today's podcast is going to be very special for most of us because under the circumstances, we all know that post-Bunyanum Marsus, everything changed around us. We all felt like, one way or the other, a defense expert and analyst in our own way. Our social spaces were replete with conversations concerning Pakistan's aerospace and aeronautical capabilities. And, everyone seemed like talking about the technologies, that were concerning the aerospace field and our aerospace technologies that concerned the safeguarding of the skies and propels us forward. So today we take a stroll down the avenue with a scholar who at core is an aerospace engineer. He is a visionary, a true force of nature, and who has soared through the halls of the Georgia Tech Atlanta, earning not one, not two, but 3 advanced degrees. Came back to Pakistan and worked with the government, had contributions with the legendary F-16s. And since then, he's been working with the School of Interdisciplinary Engineering and Sciences at NUST. So today, get ready to be inspired because we have with us today the unparalleled Dr. Irtiza Ali Shah. Doc, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Khush Amdeed.
Thank you very much for having me.
Every time somebody comes over here, I ask different sort of questions. But if there was a one-pager about you, and if I was to have a snapshot of who you are, so I'm going to break this down to you. We're talking about 39 labs. Mm-hmm. You are taking care of them. Mm-hmm. Countless maybe lectures, lots of R&D. You're a scientist. Lots of supervision. You're an instructor as well. Mm-hmm. And plus you're the principal of the country's first interdisciplinary school. Mm-hmm. So, piecing it all together, how is your work-life balance?
We started off with a difficult question. So I would say I had been pretty poor as far as work-life balance is concerned in yesteryears of my career. As a bachelor, I was too passionate about work. I don't know whether it was good or bad, but I had spent many nights working at the office. And even after marriage, my habits didn't change. But slowly and steadily, I realized, in fact, I read a statement in Reader's Digest that nobody ever wished on his deathbed that he should have spent more time in the office. And suddenly I realized that, yes, this is not what I'm taking to my next journey, the real journey or the permanent life. And that point onwards, I started working on balancing my relationships on one side, my contributions towards my family on one side, and my professionalism or professional work on the other side. And now I feel that, alhamdulillah, both are balanced to an extent that if I talk about my professional achievements, I think my family achievements are slightly more than what my professional achievements are. If you ask me what are my gains in life or the biggest gains in life, those are my family, my 3 daughters, my wife, my mother, my sisters, and my family and relationships. Now I understand that they stand ahead of my professional endeavors, I must say. So at some point, I realized the value of those relationships in life, and I tried to balance. And then I restrict all work to 9 to 5. I understand during 9 to 5, NUST is paying me, so every minute, every second of that time must be sincerely spent towards what I am being paid for. And during that time, I try to restrict any kind of personal calls, personal media interactions, emails, anything like that, because that time is paid by NUST. But after 5, I am off. I'm completely off, literally off.
You know, a lot of people listening to this, बहुत सारे लोग जब इस बात को सुन रहे होंगे, it's a thing. It's a very surprising thing. You know, there aren't people like you out there, too many, because we're talking about zero social media presence. You're talking about no Facebook, no Instagramming. You know, I see a little bit of you on the LinkedIn, but I think you haven't even used it for quite some time.
Yeah, that's...
So some of the things here is very surprising, and plus you're doing lots and lots of multitasking every day, and you're keeping a lot of things together, and you are one of the principals as well. You're running a school, so how is it possible to it's a 9 to 5 is a thing for us. Balancing work life has been the biggest mystery.
So first of all, I must say that there is a Persian verse, "Ee saadat bazore bazu neest, tana bakshat khudaye bakshinda." Primarily this is a blessing from God. That even if I thought that I would balance work and life together, I might not have done it unless and until God's blessings were with me. And now I feel, I have no access to even emails after 5, no official emails, no EINs, no minute sheets, nothing. I just before leaving office, I recheck mail. I check all official mail at least twice a day, once in the morning and once before pack up. But after 5, I am off. And whole of my faculty, administration staff, everybody knows that if something goes seriously wrong, they have to call me. There is no other way to contact me after 5. No EINs, no minute sheets, nothing. 5 o'clock, everything just shuts down. And from 5 to the next day morning 9, it's my time and it's my family's
You don't even take calls. इसके बाद आप phone भी attend नहीं करते?
नहीं, I attend calls from 5 to 9, but after 9 my phone is also off. Everything is just gone.
No WhatsApp?
No WhatsApp, nothing.
I'm sorry मैं बार-बार आपसे एक ही सवाल पूछ रहा हूँ. But this is very surprising for most of us.
It is.
And I think a lot of us can learn from it as well. शायद हम थोड़ी सी स्मार्टफोन एडिक्शन थोड़ी कम हो जाए, स्क्रीन टाइम हमारा कम हो जाए.
I'm living in NUST. I mean, again, it's a blessing not only from God but from NUST that I'm on campus. So God forbid there's an emergency, कोई student के साथ, कोई faculty के साथ, so people can access me. They can knock my door. So I know that. Probably अगर मैं शायद NUST में ना रह रहा होता तो शायद ये ऑप्शंस मेरे पास अवेलेबल नहीं थी कि मैं 5 बजे के बाद कोई मेल चेक ना करूँ, 9 बजे के बाद मैं फ़ोन कॉल्स अटेंड ना करूँ. So that would not have been possible. It is possible because I'm living on campus, and anybody and everybody can approach me right there and then and knock my door.
Any favorite place on campus?
The campus is really nice. I think I frequently go to C1 and C2, and I enjoy students sitting there and interacting with each other. Yes. So I like to interact and sit on public places. Not very hi-fi places. I know Munal died. My favorite place to go was Munal, but second favorite place to go was Savor Foods. And literally I would take my wife there कि वहाँ बैठ के खाना खाते हैं. So मुझे अच्छा लगता है ऐसी जगहों पे जाना जहाँ पे you are not a celebrity, you are just a common man. That's how people should be treating you. मरने के बाद तो कोई celebrity नहीं है ना, खुदा की आंखों में तो celebrities कुछ और हैं.
This is whole spiritual side of you. The first time I met you, मैं आपके ऑफिस में आता हूँ, मैं क्या देखता हूँ कि आपका डेस्क है. You got a huge office, and आपके डेस्क के पीछे वाली दीवार और उसके सामने वाली दीवार, I see less of the paint, and I see lots and lots and lots of frames there, and in every frame there is one certificate or the other, one accolade or the other. You're a guy who doesn't much advertise himself, but you're really fond of what you've achieved over the years. Isn't it like this?
Again, alhamdulillah, शायद हम पहले भी बात कर रहे थे कि once I was in 6th grade, I learned that prayer of the Prophet was Rabbi Zidni Ilma, and since then I have been vehemently and seriously and passionately praying to God. I don't recall कि probably 6th class के बाद से शायद मेरा एक भी दिन ऐसा गुजरा हो जिसमें मैंने ये दुआ अल्लाह पाक से ना मांगी हो, रब्बे ज़िदनी इल्मा की. वो जो सर्टिफिकेट्स आप देख रहे हैं शायद देखने में बहुत इम्प्रेसिव लगते हैं. I hardly consider to be any achievement.
you've been a topper all your life. You stood out of the class. Stood very different. You were the best of the best since the beginning. ये मतलब that's whole streak of excellence. ये इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा बताइए, because we call them thetas. हम कहते हैं यार ये बड़े थीटा हैं क्लास के. और ये
1930s में दुनिया बहुत डेवलप हो चुकी थी. जहाज़ बन चुके थे, टॉर्पीडोज़ बन चुके थे, सबमरीन्स बन चुकी थी. एक वर्ल्ड वॉर हो चुकी थी, दूसरी होने वाली थी. एंड टेक्नोलॉजी एंड साइंटिफिक रिसर्च वर एट इट्स पिनिकल. हाउएवर जो वर्ल्ड वॉर 1 में जितने लोग ज़ख्मी हुए, ज़्यादातर की लिम्स एम्प्यूटेट करनी पड़ी बिकॉज पेंसिलिन एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती थी, एंटीबायोटिक एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती थी, जो कि इतनी बेसिक सी साइंस है. दैट डिड नॉट एग्जिस्ट. एंड पीपल वर डूइंग लॉट ऑफ रिसर्च कि किस तरह से हमने एंटीबायोटिक्स बनानी है. 1930s तक एज ए सेट जहाज़ और टॉर्पीडोज़ और मिसाइल्स बन चुके हुए थे, बट एंटीबायोटिक्स एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती थी. तो मीनवाइल अलेक्जेंडर फ्लेमिंग ने पेंसिलिन डिस्कवर की, एंटीबायोटिक्स बन गई, और वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 में जितने लोग ज़ख्मी हुए, ज़्यादातर की एम्पुटेशन सिर्फ इस वजह से नहीं हो सकी या नहीं करनी पड़ी बिकॉज पेंसिलिन आ गई थी. तो जब अलेक्जेंडर फ्लेमिंग की लैब बनी, वो पेंसिलिन डिस्कवर हुई, तो मैनी रिसर्चर्स फ्रॉम द वर्ल्ड हु वर डूइंग लॉट ऑफ एडवांस्ड रिसर्च, दे विजिटेड अलेक्जेंडर फ्लेमिंग्स लैब. और उसके बाद उनका कमेंट ये था, जब मीडिया वालों ने उनसे पूछा कि हाउ डिड यू फाइंड, हाउ डू यू कंपेयर दिस लैब विद योर लैब्स, तो उनके कमेंट ये थे कि पेंसिलिन इतनी ही गलीज़ लैब में डिस्कवर हो सकती थी. बिकॉज पेंसिलिन की डिस्कवरी का प्रोसेस ये था कि अलेक्जेंडर फ्लेमिंग ने जो जर्म कल्चर डेवलप किया, उसको फंगस लग गया, एंड द फंगस किल्ड द बैक्टीरिया, एंड दैट वाज द होल साइंस ऑफ एंटीबायोटिक्स. God paved a way for the humanity, and it benefited the whole world to an unimaginable level. So इंसान कितनी मेहनत कर रहा है, ज़रूरी नहीं है कि उसका रिवॉर्ड आपको अभी और फ़ौरन मिल जाए. यानी ये भी अगेन आई वुड से इट्स अ ब्लेसिंग. तो मेहनत मैंने मैट्रिक में भी शायद उतनी ही की थी जितनी मैंने एफएससी में की थी. मैट्रिक में आई वाज हार्डली 60th इन द बोर्ड, बट अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह एफएससी में मेरी फर्स्ट पोजीशन थी. मेरे बैचलर्स में गोल्ड मेडल था, मैंने मास्टर्स में अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह 4.0 GPA लिया. ऑल अलोंग अल्लाह का करम है. लेकिन मसला ये नहीं है कि आई वाज द ओनली वन वर्किंग हार्ड, मेनी अदर्स वर आल्सो वर्किंग हार्ड. बट एक अल्लाह पाक का निज़ाम है, अल्लाह पाक ने कुछ प्लान बनाया होता है, और इन जनरल वही सुप्रीम और बेहतरीन प्लान है. सो one can work hard. I don't know whether everybody will achieve that position or not. Well, everybody will not.
I think dog पूछने का मकसद ये नहीं था. I think I'm trying to ask you कि you believe in competition, do you?
I do.
Or don't you believe in competition?
No, I do believe in competition. There is no doubt about it.
Was that the only reason that you never wanted to be second in the class, और ये इस तरह वाली चीज़ थी आप?
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं था. यानी learning was my passion, and I studied to learn, not really to get first position in the class. Any first position in the class could be my priority 2, but not priority 1. Priority 1 was to learn and to study. यानी अभी भी लोग मुझसे पूछते हैं, आपने PhD तो की हुई है, 5 मास्टर्स क्यों किए हैं, और वो भी इतनी डाइवर्स फील्ड्स में, कंप्यूटर साइंस, इंजीनियरिंग, सोशल साइंसेज, रोबोटिक्स, मैकेनिकल, एरोस्पेस. Why? The answer is I was not studying to achieve something. I was studying just to learn. That's it.
Curiosity. You had questions in your mind. Ingenuity के बारे में आपका क्या ख्याल है? What do you think the indigenous technologies? Now, this question is different altogether. We keeping in the focus on the indigenous development of the technologies in the aerospace and aeronautical fields. How we are keeping pace with the world out there? Our technologies.
In general we are. असल में पाकिस्तान में टैलेंट का तो कभी कोई मसला रहा ही नहीं है. We are a very very talented nation in general, and we can do wonders given opportunities and resources from top to bottom. यानी बच्चों से लेकर, छोटे बच्चों से लेकर probably senior professionals तक, everybody can do wonders. It's just a matter of getting the right opportunities, getting the right resources. एंड दैट्स ऑल. वो इंजेन्युइटी भी कोई हमारे पास पाकिस्तान में डेप्थ नहीं है, उसकी शॉर्टेज नहीं है, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. It's just that sometimes we will not get appropriate resources, sometimes we will not get appropriate opportunities, sometimes our ethics and values will not permit us to go beyond a certain level. टैलेंट की आप बात करें, कैपेबिलिटीज़ की बात करें, उसकी कोई शॉर्टेज नहीं, रिसोर्सेज की है. हमने कुछ भी करना हो तो उसके लिए रिसोर्सेज एक बहुत बड़ा इशू होते हैं. So yes, we are intelligent, we have always been very intelligent, but sometimes, as I said, the questions are, or the hindrances are not really ingenuity or intellect. Hindrances are some other.
मेरा सवाल ये था कि I'm sorry, I'm rewinding back. Somebody did invent the wheel, right? Think of it like this. There was no wheel before. Nobody, or maybe the inventor himself copied it from somewhere.
Invention, I would say,
do you believe in genuine? Do you believe in genuine inspiration?
देखिए, इन्वेंशन जो है ना, इट्स अ सिक्वेंशियल और अ प्रोग्रेसिव प्रोसेस. मैं ये कहूँ सेल फोन किसने इन्वेंट किया था, तो इसका किसी के पास कोई रिप्लाई नहीं है. सेल फोन इज एन एग्लोमरेशन ऑफ लॉट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजीज which were invented one by one. यानी communications या initial telephone, let's say Graham Bell ने invent किया. Again, there are controversial theories about ownership of that invention by Graham Bell.
Really?
That's a separate story though.
ये dog ना बात करे, my whole life has been a lie about this.
But anyway, कहने का मकसद है, officially चले उन्होंने telephone invent किया. Is the cell phone same as the telephone? The answer is no. It has so many other things. So every app in a cell phone, I would call it an invention, in ingenuity. So it's not about products nowadays which we are inventing. It's about small little contributions we are doing to the existing knowledge, and that actually is ingenuity. वो पुराना ज़माना गुजर गया कि पहिया किसने बनाया था. वो बनाया होगा किसी ने, बट अब पहिए की वैल्यू शायद वो नहीं है जो एक BMW कार की है फॉर एग्जांपल, या रोल्स रॉयस की है फॉर एग्जांपल. और मैं ये कहूँ रोल्स रॉयस किसने इन्वेंट की है, देयर इज़ हार्डली एन आंसर टू दैट क्वेश्चन. It's just a collection of so many inventions, technologies, ingenuities, contributions from research community, from social sciences community. अब जो product market में लाते हैं उसकी ergonomics देखते हैं, उसकी consumer acceptance देखते हैं. तो it's not about science only anymore or engineering anymore. Nowadays world is very very interdisciplinary. आपको एक product लेके आनी है, आपको उसकी खूबसूरती देखनी है, ergonomics देखनी है, उसका art design देखना है, उसकी ease of use देखनी है, which are not really pure engineering questions. They are more of art and social sciences questions.
So do you think interdisciplinarity is a way out for our socio-economic issues?
It's not just a way out, it's a way forward, I must say.
Yes.
Because every product, every technology, it has to bring in a lot of researchers from various diverse fields together. That's how you will be able to launch a successful product nowadays. अगर आप सारे researchers को इकट्ठा नहीं करेंगे with so many specializations, you won't be able to launch a product, technology or service which is acceptable in the market and which really adds value in the market, both in terms of value addition, ease or comfort of the consumer, but also financial revenue generation and profit generation.
What's the one thing what's the differential of the School of Interdisciplinary Engineering and Sciences? What's the one thing that differentiates science from any other school?
The word interdisciplinary. So I'm grateful you asked the question.
Yes.
If I have time, I would like to elaborate on
lots
the
of it
answer.
right now.
Okay. So Alhamdulillah, science was conceived in a very, very forward-looking manner. There are very few schools in the world which are interdisciplinary to that level, wherein you have not only all the academic programs we have at science, they are all interdisciplinary. I will talk about those programs. We have the whole concept of science rests on three pillars. One is regular academics and research. And in that academics and research, we have only those programs which are highly interdisciplinary. The second pillar is that of interdisciplinary research cluster, which alhamdulillah now has 39 labs from 11 different colleges and institutes of NUST.
Yes, absolutely.
And the third pillar is having the industry under the same roof, and it's not just industry for renting purposes or incubation purposes. The industry we have at Science is very, very R&D focused. So bringing industry interdisciplinary researchers and academics and regular R&D under one roof is, I must say, a way forward. And all my predecessors who thought about this idea of building science, they were looking into the world probably 50 years or 100 years down the lane. So that is really the future, and that is the purpose of creation of science. The whole concept is that if the researcher, if the academics, students, resource which we have, it's like a free resource available to do all kind of new research. So we have master's, PhD, bachelor students, and then we have interdisciplinary 39 principal investigators along with their research teams and 12 industries sitting under the same roof. Then you can expect that they will collaborate with each other for development of every product, technology or service which they want to put out in the market, and something nice will come out of it.
So जब मुश्किल थी कि एक researcher ने industry जाना है, वो better, मतलब you guys have devised a way out कि industry को ही आप, you know, you bring in.
Exactly.
That was the whole idea.
तो जो आप पानी पीने कुएं के पास जाते, तो हम कुआं उठा के प्यासे के पास ले आए हैं. That is what is the concept of science.
And I always talk about change. Do you think bringing all of them at one point, all the policymakers, the researchers, scientists, and the stakeholders, if you bring them, you know, one convergence point, will it make a difference one day?
Yes, it will make a lot of difference. It has already, because अगर उसी roof के नीचे researchers, industry is sitting and researchers are sitting, so देखिए हम जो researchers हैं ना, we develop products and technologies not really or seriously considering market demands. We develop technologies or products or services based on our own expertise and what we have learned. So मेरी जो expertise है, मैं उसकी technology, product या service produce करूँगा. सवाल ये है कि the specifications of that product needs to be aligned with the market needs. And this job cannot be done unless and until we take industry on board. And it had been a very, very difficult task reaching out to the industry. There is a trust deficit, especially in Pakistan, between the industry and academia.
ये बहुत बड़ी बात कर दी आपने.
Academia thinks industry is completely useless for us, and so is the industry. Industry also thinks, what has these PhDs given to us? So there are complaints from both sides. However, the concept is that if you bring under one roof and you make them or you force them talk to each other, a lot nice will come out now as well as in future. So the future I see is very, very bright, and I see science to be at the forefront of this, leading this academia industry linkage.
And inshallah gap bridge hoga.
Gap bridge hoga.
Sooner or later.
अभी तो हम ice breaking stage पे हैं.
Are you folks planning to introduce an undergrad program back at the Science?
Yes, we have an undergrad program.
Yes.
It's by the name of bioinformatics, and it's a cross between biology and computer science. Actually, computer science applications had been mostly on man-made platforms until recently. Man-made platforms are relatively easier to handle in computer algorithms or AI. However, nature is very difficult. Nature has a lot of diversity. We are 9 billion people, let's say, on Earth. We are all different. We think differently. We are physically differently. Our eyes are different. Our noses are different. Our lips are different. Our faces are different. Our get-up is different. Our silhouettes are different. Sometimes, without seeing a face, you can recognize a person just from his silhouette. So, God has a lot of diversity and creativity, and dealing those problems with computer applications is a pretty hard task. And it's a very, very interdisciplinary task because you have to bring in biologists or nature-loving people or botanists or zoologists together with computer sciences. Traditionally, those had been miles apart. One was going towards east and the other field was going towards west. But through bioinformatics, they have been brought under.
So green energy is one of the sectors as well. We have a program about climate change as well. So a lot has been happening back at the Science. How was it received in the market in the first place?
Okay, so climate change and sustainability development program is a graduate level program at Science. There are masters and PhD students joining the program. Alhamdulillah, that program probably is one of the most popular programs of our school. to an extent, then we can't keep up the pace of faculty hiring aligned with the enrollment requirement of the students. So Alhamdulillah, every semester we have so many students that we fall short of available faculty. However, the beauty of the program is that, again, it is a consortium format, highly interdisciplinary format of the program. And there are 5 schools of NUST who are joining this program. The civil engineering aspects are covered by School of Civil Engineering. The environment engineering aspects are covered by IESE, our Institute on Environment Sciences. Then green energy aspects are covered by USP CASE. Green agriculture aspects are covered by ASAB. And then policy and governance aspects are covered by School of Social Sciences. And of course, we are hosting it at Science. Recently, I have requested business school also to cover business aspects of climate change and sustainability development. So a student who joins the program has choice to pick up an advisor from all these 5 or now 6 schools of NUST. And rest of the program is housed at Science. Faculty from all these schools are coming to Science to teach this program, and therein lies the beauty of that program, the real beauty of that program, of its highly interdisciplinary nature.
So if graduate is pushed into the market, so he has a master's degree in climate change, where does he or she actually belongs? What naukri kahan mil sakti hai? Incentivize everyone who wants to take admission. Even if I want to, get enrolled into the program, you need to incentivize people like a lot of people like me.
Climate, sustainability, these have become, or sustainable development goals, in the recent past, they have become buzzwords around the world.
Yes.
So starting from the top, starting from the United Nations, there are hundreds and thousands of NGOs working around the world in these areas. So under the sustainability, you have 17 SDGs. You can choose to work on any. Under that umbrella, so many disciplines are joining in. As I already gave an example, that there are so many aspects that you can target the market of green energy through climate change and sustainability development. You can target the market of green agriculture. You can target the market of civil engineering. You can target the market of environment engineering. You can target the market of business, policy, governance, green economy, etc., etc. So there is no limit to it as such. Our climate change ministry from the government of Pakistan is also actively involved in our program. They are frequent visitors to us. Just in last 6 months, the Minister of Climate Change has visited us twice, and the Secretary of Climate Change has visited us thrice. In just last 6 months, they have actually inaugurated a green tech hub, which exists on the ground floor of Science. So the government is already involved. A lot of NGOs, a lot of organizations are already involved. Actually, industry has been advised to reduce their climate impact. So all industry is also very, very passionate about reducing their carbon impact or climate negative impacts. So
any engineer can also enroll in the program?
Yes,
any sort of engineer can enroll?
Any sort of engineer, and you can choose whether you want to pursue your civil engineering or environment engineering, or you want to switch to social sciences aspects of climate change and sustainability development.
Okay.
So everybody is welcome in our program, whether an engineer or a scientist or a social scientist.
I was very eager. I am. शायद मैं भी शायद enroll हो जाऊँ, मुझे पता नहीं
Most
लगा.
welcome, sir. We would love to have you.
It's the in thing these days.
Yes,
That's for sure. So we talked about the differential at Science. So now coming back to where I started with the recent Pakistan-India clashes. It's not that sort of a podcast. We talk about geopolitics and whatever is happening around, but our capabilities are. It's not the man. It is the man behind the gun, but then somebody has to manufacture the gun as well. You guys, on the other hand, are the ones who are actually in the development of those technologies. What was our competitive edge during the whole,
In my humble opinion, probably the best thing that paid off was the air defense network which Pakistani engineers had developed over the past at least 30 to 40 years. And because that network is indigenously developed, it is free from all kinds of jamming, or I would say any kind of potential leaks So I understand the value of all the weapons that were provided to us by China. There is no doubt about it. Those were the weapons we were using, but the whole network was not given to us by China. That network, which gives you the whole real-time pictures of what assets do you have, what threats do you have, how you are going to sensibly deploy your assets against the enemy threats. That system was made by Pakistani engineers, and probably I know for sure that since 1993 I am following that system, which was developed by engineers of Pakistan Air Force since that time.
So was this the only reason that the our opponents weren't able to crack the whole system?
Yes, that was the only reason why they were unable to crack. Yes. However, the success, as I said, was dependent upon so many other factors as well. Of course, there is political will, there is sensible deployment of assets, there is nice decision making, there is weaponry which we were using. That weaponry was not developed by Pakistani engineers. So it would not be nice to acknowledge all the other elements which led to success.
Diplomacy matters as well.
Diplomacy matters,
Yes.
decision making matters, when to do what. A soldier is trained just to fire, but when to fire is a very big decision, and when to stop is also a very big decision. So that success came from so many corners and from so many contributors.
5th generation aircraft. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. Once JF-17 was being developed, Pakistani engineers were actively involved, and not only that, we also helped Chinese, because Pakistan Air Force has been exposed to so many different weapon systems. We have been operating Mirages, which is a French weapon system, for times unknown, probably since 1960s.
I'm sorry to cut you, Doc, right there. I was reading an article that all these Mirages, they are almost primitive technologies now.
They are primitive technologies, but you know,
why does the even fleet exist? Such kind of
a
fleet
guard which stands outside, let's say, a building with any weapon is better than having a guard, is better than not having a guard or not having a weapon, a guard with a weapon. So we have weapons. They may be old, yes, but they are at least some numbers.
कि चौकीदार होना चाहिए.
चौकीदार होना चाहिए. चौकीदार होना चाहिए. चौकीदार के पास बंदूक भी होनी चाहिए. चाहे जितनी मर्जी पुरानी बंदूक हो. It is still a threat to all the intruders.
Absolutely.
So, as I said, we have been operating Mirages, we have French weapon systems, we have been operating various missile systems which were acquired from French Crotale weapon systems. We have been operating US aircraft since times unknown. We have been operating Chinese aircraft for the past about 40-50 years. So, our Air Force is a very, very interdisciplinary Air Force, multi-technology Air Force, and Chinese were not exposed to that, and that exposure, alhamdulillah, our engineers contributed once we were developing JF-17s. However, starting from copying just an aircraft, Chinese are now way ahead of us. So in a 5th generation aircraft, they are of course way ahead of us, and it would be more wise, instead of developing our own 5th generation aircraft, probably that effort needs to go in parallel. Definitely, we are an independent nation, and we need to stand on our own feet. Having said that, we might not have those many resources or assets available to put in that program where we could have developed our own 5th generation aircraft. So as of now, it is wise to get whosoever sells weapons to us to acquire them and use them, integrate in our own indigenously developed air defense systems, and use like in Bunyanul Marsus. So that was a typical example of how, at least in the near future, we should be proceeding.
So do you think somebody pursuing an undergraduate degree in the aerospace engineering, do you think there are a lot of prospects for youngsters out there after this whole clash between Pakistan and India? A lot of things might be, joining the Air Force or the, aeronautics and the aerospace. Do you think we have a market for that? Or somebody, और क्या इसके लिए पहले हमें masters करने के लिए बाहर जाना होगा, उसके बाद हम वापस आएंगे तो, a lot of people are looking from a perspective of कि यार नौकरी मिलेगी कि नहीं मिलेगी, वर्क प्लेसमेंट्स की बात हो रही. I'm stating in very plain terms. क्या is this the in
if
thing?
you compare the market of aerospace engineering with, let's say, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, or civil engineering, the market of aerospace engineering is very, very small. Not only in Pakistan, but in the whole world as well.
हम इसको niche technology कह सकते हैं.
It is a niche technology. There is no doubt about it. But
Yes.
its base is not very large. Once upon a time, once I was in USA doing my PhD, so 747 जब तक डेवलप हो रहा था ना, तो उसकी जो डिज़ाइन टीम होती थी उसमें 80% एरोस्पेस इंजीनियर्स होते थे और 20% अदर टेक्नोलॉजीज़ और अदर specializations होती थी. Like you need electrical engineers, avionics engineers, you need computer engineers, and many more. There is a long list. You need system engineers, material engineers, mechanical engineers, etc. etc. जब 787 डेवलप हो रहा था तो ये स्टेटिस्टिक्स completely रिवर्स हो गई थी. So the design team of 777 of 787, that they did not comprise of 80% aerospace engineers. They comprised of 20% aerospace engineers and 80% interdisciplinary engineers. So from so many other disciplines, because जो एरोस्पेस की मार्केट है वो बहुत ज़्यादा कभी थी भी नहीं, बहुत बड़ी मार्केट नहीं थी. इट वाज अ स्मॉल मार्केट, इट वाज अ नीश मार्केट. सो पाकिस्तान में वो मार्केट ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ ईयर्स काफ़ी इम्प्रूव हुई है. यानी एरोस्पेस के जो ग्रेजुएट्स थे प्रॉबेबली 70% तो सीधा एयरफोर्स में यूज़ हो रहे थे. कोई 5% 10% आर्मी, नेवी, वहाँ भी एविएशन के सेटअप्स हैं. नेवी में एविएशन का सेटअप है, आर्मी में एविएशन का सेटअप है. तो वहाँ पर भी जो एरोस्पेस एरोनॉटिकल इंजीनियर्स देने थे वो CAE से, नस्ट के जो कॉलेज है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कॉलेज, वहाँ से ग्रेजुएट हो रहे थे. इसी तरह PIA को जो एरोनॉटिकल इंजीनियर्स चाहिए थे वो भी बहुत साल तक CAE ही आते रहे और वहीं से ग्रेजुएट होते रहे. अब जो है इसके अलावा बहुत सारी फॉरेन एयरफोर्सेस, जॉर्डेनियन एयरफोर्स, सऊदी एयरफोर्स, ओमान एयरफोर्स, Iraq Air Force, Iran Air Force, these are the ones I clearly know of. कि इनके बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स जो हैं ना वो नस्ट आते रहे हैं और यहीं से ग्रेजुएट होते रहे हैं इन एरोस्पेस ऑब्लिक एरोनॉटिकल इंजीनियरिंग. सो जो पाकिस्तान में मार्केट का आपने क्वेश्चन पूछा है, देयर हैज़ बीन अ वेरी स्मॉल मार्केट until and unless we just had PF and PIA as users, but not anymore. Now there are many more users. There are many more airlines that have sprung up. So the world has also shrunk because now our student can access not just Pakistani market. He or she can access Middle East market, which is just close by, Far East market, Western market definitely. So our graduates are good enough for the whole world, and they have the choice and opportunity to apply anywhere and get jobs anywhere.
Aerospace का, if somebody is an aerospace graduate, क्या ज़रूरी है कि उसने सिर्फ जो है वो he has to go to the Air Force or the airlines, or there are some other avenues to work as well, right? Because at the end of the day, an aerospace engineer is a mechanical engineer.
Yes,
it's a branch of the mechanical
yes,
engineering, right?
So many aerospace engineers choose to go into mechanical engineering. Many of CAE graduates actually have gone to various jobs and assignments which are in mechanical engineering setup. So you are absolutely right. That's how it is. Yes. Because aerospace engineers can go and join mechanical engineering.
You in your 30 years long career, have you thought about somehow carry the weight of our sending something up there in the space as well? Have you thought about it?
Space is not my specialization. My specialization in aerospace engineering is flight dynamics and controls, which is one of the systems on the aircraft. So again, it's very, very specialized. It's very, very narrowed down. So I'm not an aircraft designer. I am a flight control system of an aircraft, designer of that. I am a designer of an autopilot. I am a designer of a flight control computer. I am a designer of a whole flight control system for the aircraft, but not the whole aircraft. So my specialization is very, very narrow as far as aircraft is concerned. And yes, there are a lot of flight controls used on space vehicles as well, but they are very, very different, because conventional controls we use on the aircraft, they are aerodynamic controls primarily. Of course, there is a structure and mechanical element, a mechanics element involved into it, and now computer element involved into it. But the space vehicles hardly have any aerodynamic controls. Their controls are very, very different. They are inertial controls primarily. It's a different science. So that is not really my specialization. But if at all I have to work on any kind of space vehicles, I will not be working on the design of the space vehicles. I'll be working on the design of the control systems for the aerospace vehicles.
So one aspect of the aerospace engineering is probably the maintenance part of the aircrafts as well. So you guys are basically aerospace engineer technicians as well in one way or the other, because you look after the aircraft. But do you design it as well? You design stuff for the aircraft as well? This is again a very simple question.
These are two separate questions. Well, most of the
Or there are some other people who are designing.
No, these are two separate specializations after aerospace engineering. So most of the market is definitely there in maintenance of aircraft.
Yes.
The PIA, which inducts aerospace engineers, primarily uses them for maintenance. Pakistan Air Force, which inducts most of the aerospace engineers, most of them are working on maintenance of the aircraft. Military maintenance again is a slightly different area than commercial aircraft maintenance. Commercial aircraft maintenance requires some certification or licenses also. So once a student graduates, let's say from CAE or from SMME, from aerospace program, he or she has to do a little bit of like certification exams, and then he or she can join airlines for maintenance or other organizations. So maintenance is a totally different field after graduation. R&D mainly deals with design of aircraft or its systems. That is a very, very different area. And for that, just probably having a bachelor's degree might not be enough. It is enough in some situations as working as part of the team. But once you have to start leading the team, probably you need higher qualification, masters in aerospace or PhD in aerospace engineering. Design work is very, very different. Coming back to your earlier question, how much market is there for aerospace engineers? So some market is there in the maintenance side, and some market is there now in the R&D side. Now the aircraft are becoming smaller and smaller. They are kind of, earlier on we had very large computers or supercomputer machines. Once IBM developed it, then they brought it to desktop and they called it a desktop computer. So nowadays in aerospace also, from large aircraft we are coming down to desktop drones. So
Desktop drones,
which are very small, not larger than the size of your desk.
Yes.
So because there is so much of miniaturization in aerospace, it is becoming, there are cheap applications of aerospace as well. You are using drones for surveillance. You're using drones in the world for agriculture applications, mining applications, rescue, firefighting, many other industrial applications, many other military applications which drones now have. And that technology is very small, very simple, very cost efficient. And that market has really sprung up in last 5 or 10 years, where our graduates can be inducted.
So how the artificial intelligence itself, the integration of AI into the aircrafts will change things around? What do you think is going to happen? Or is it already happening?
Primitive form of AI has been there in aerospace engineering since 1914. The first aircraft which had a roll control autopilot, which is an early form of artificial / mechanical intelligence, that was developed in 1914, and that was tested. Its test results are available even on the internet. So in aerospace, automatic controls or artificial intelligence has always been there. I said the first aircraft was tested in 1914. So it's more than a century that aerospace has been absorbing automatic controls.
These are the Wright brothers, right? Or somebody else?
This was not Wright brothers. This was some other aircraft. If you search on the internet, you will find it.
Okay.
You will find a picture of the aircraft with a person moving on the wing and the aircraft still maintaining its roll attitude. So that was the roll control autopilot, which was first developed back in 1914. So in aerospace engineering, artificial intelligence or automation has always been there. And aerospace has been leading once the autopilot was designed back in 1940s. As I said, it started in 1914, but it was implemented. It came, a very, very comprehensive autopilot was there in the aircraft which were designed in 1960s. So automation has already been, had always been there. And later on, we had added so many other flight control computers, air data computer, and many others. Nowadays, we have a system called Flight Management System, or FMS, which is kind of a mother of all the computers on board the aircraft. And there is a joke in aerospace industry that now the co-pilot is supposed to be a dog, and the job of that dog is to ensure that the pilot doesn't touch anything in the aircraft throughout the flight. So that is kind of our dream, and it has, as I said, it has always been there. So in aerospace, AI and automation were always there. And they are an integral part of the aircraft.
तो डॉग अब कहीं ये तो नहीं कहना चाह रहे कि कुछ अरसे के बाद we would no longer be needing pilots in the air?
We already have many such aircraft. In this Bunyanam Marsus, you saw so many drones which were pilotless. So almost 30% of aerospace world has already switched to pilotless aircraft.
But not the actual jets, right?
Yes, as I said, the total flying machines, if you count the total number of flying machines, 30% of them are already pilotless.
आप उनको unmanned कहते हैं.
Yes.
But अब ज़ाहिर है अब J-17 or J-10s के अंदर without a pilot you cannot I don't know it's going to be possible or not in the near future, but
it would be very callous to use aerospace, especially military or lethal technology, without a ground pilot. It would be very callous.
But it would save lives.
Very, very, very cruel, I must say.
Why?
Because just before firing, you can be called off if you are remotely operating. Just before the last kill, you can be called off. And sometimes that calling off is required as far as your politics and diplomacy are concerned. Okay. If you make completely autonomous aircraft, especially weaponized, then you lose that option of calling off at the last minute. And we want to keep that option, especially for wars are there to resolve issues, not to kill people. I mean, wars happen because something could not be resolved politically or diplomatically. Something could not be resolved. That's why wars happen. And wars stop because of politics or political decisions and diplomacies, not really by the soldiers in the field. So we want to keep that option open till the end, especially if we are talking about weaponized or military aircraft.
Defense R&D is a huge aspect of NUST, isn't it, at Def R&D? We are also involved in lots and lots of research in that area as well. What's your contribution to the overall?
As I said, my area of research is flight controls, and I have been working on various drones. In US also, I was working in a UAV research facility of Georgia Tech. We had 12 different kinds of unmanned vehicles, and my whole PhD thesis and my master's thesis is working on those drones. So once I came back to Pakistan back in 2010, I started working on various kinds of drones. In science also, we have an aerial robotics lab, which I raised back in 2011 from various funds. And once I went from SMME to CAE, I kept on working on various kinds of drones. We developed an anti-terrorist drone with a Glock pistol on board, which would fire without any disturbance. And later on, we developed another drone while I was at Air University, another larger drone with the capability to carry about 6 or 7 grenade launchers with it. So my contribution had been developing drones and doing various projects related to drones. I have done about 35 funded projects, and pretty much all were related to unmanned aerial vehicles.
A true architect of innovation, isn't it? So before we wrap up the whole podcast, one last question that I've been meaning to ask you. How difficult it is to actually commercialize a technology in Pakistan?
It's not difficult at all. There is
I'm talking about scalability.
Silent barrier between academia and industry, which I earlier talked about.
Yes.
And that silent barrier is just a trust deficit. There is, in my humble opinion, there's nothing more to it. On ground, there is nothing stopping our academia collaborating with the industry and moving forward. And the answer to your question is commercialization is only possible if industry is on board. And that's where the whole concept of science was, to bring in industry and academia under one roof, and to overcome those invisible hurdles or useless hurdles, I must say, so that academia and industry start collaborating. The day they start doing it at a large scale, commercialization would be peanuts for us.
I guess. Thank you, Doc. Thank you very much. Lots to talk about, but I guess we're going to wrap this up right here. And we're very honored to have you at NUST. And we wish you all the best for all your future endeavors.
Thank you very much. The honor was all mine. It was really nice to be here, and I really feel good about it. I hope there is some value addition to the listeners.
I think there's lots more that can come as well, but probably in the next episode. Thank you, Doc. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.